All right, welcome to today's global Infusionsoft user group meeting. I'm really excited about today's topic because it's something that we see on a regular basis. We deal with a lot of Infusionsoft users. We log into many different Infusionsoft accounts, and we see time and time again that those accounts are, let's just be honest, they're a mess. And not that we blame anybody. We've been there before. And there's no reason not to be a mess because Infusionsoft doesn't necessarily help you with the organizational aspect of it. So today's topic, the ultimate tagging system for Infusionsoft, the simple way to keep tags organized and know what they all do. So I'm excited to be sharing this content with you today. The problem that we face is that there are no rules in Infusionsoft. You can get in there and you can create tags any which way you want. There's no rules. There are categories, but it doesn't force you to use them. You can create your tags without categories. You can name them however you would like. And that just causes pure chaos. And your tags may look even worse than this tangled set of wires. The problem is those tags do things, just like those wires do things. If all of a sudden someone asks you, hey, plug in this wire to turn that thing on, well, you might really struggle to find the right wire. You might plug one in and turn the wrong thing on. So that's the problem we deal with Infusionsoft. You think a tag does one thing, you apply it to a contact, and it might do an entirely different thing. Or it might not do anything at all, and you're expecting it to do something. So we're going to clarify all of that for you and help you take this jumbled mess of wires and make it clear and organized in a very simple way. So there are no rules, but we've got to create some rules. And you must follow the rules. If you don't follow the rules, then we're back to the same problem we had to begin with. So we're going to create some rules and we're going to stick with them. And if you just stick with these very simple rules, your Infusionsoft account will start to be very organized. You'll know exactly what's going on. You'll be able to look at any particular tag and know where it's applied, what it does, what it doesn't do, what it's for, what it means, etc. So when you don't do it right, it looks like this, right? When rules get too complicated, they look something like this. And I've seen many different tagging systems out there that get very complicated. Numbers and dots and symbols and all kinds of different things. And this is NASA's LMF chemical processing operations, or it's from their operations manual. And I just say, you know what, let's leave that complicated stuff with NASA. We're going to keep this very simple. We're going to get it down to the most simple thing possible. And once I explain it to you and you start to implement it in your business, you'll realize how simple it really is, yet how powerful it can be. So we don't need to worry about creating some massive, complex flow chart or some complex system. The complex systems that are out there, just push those aside. We're going to keep this very simple, and it's going to help you keep everything super organized. So first, let's define what we want. Before we go into any system and try to do stuff, we need to understand first what we want. Well, first we want to be able to find people with certain tags easily when searching, right? That's really the power of Infusionsoft segmentation. So we want to be able to go in and find people with different tags, and we want to be able to do that easily and not have to sift through that long, laborious list of tags and search and wonder, well, what did I call it? What category is it in? Is it even in a category? And struggle to find those tags. That's something we do fairly often. We want to be able to do it quickly and easily. We want to know what each tag does without pulling our hair out, right? We know that tags are used for segmentation. We know that they're also used to achieve goals. And so if they achieve a goal, it's going to trigger stuff. It's going to trigger a sequence. It's going to trigger actions to happen. And if we don't know what a tag does or what it doesn't do, and then we go kind of guessing around and applying tags, things might happen that we're not expecting to happen, or things that we're expecting to happen don't happen. And that's annoying. We also want to report on our campaigns. As we know, Infusionsoft's not the strongest system at reporting, okay? But the data's all in there, and we can create powerful reporting data by using tags. And so if you set up your tags right, you can get really all the data that you would ever need in terms of reports right out of Infusionsoft, out of the box. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Leonardo da Vinci quote that I love, right? Think about that. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So what we've done here is we've created a very simple system for your tags in Infusionsoft, but it will allow you to do such amazing and sophisticated things within your Infusionsoft account because of that sophistication. Like I said, I've seen many different systems out there, and some are very, very complex. The more complex or on the surface sophisticated that they look, the harder it is to use them. And the more drag there is on your internal system as you try and think through the whole thing and figure out what's going on with all those tags. So we're keeping this very simple on purpose to allow you to really harness the power and sophistication available through Infusionsoft. So there are 3 tag commandments that I'm going to teach you. Tag commandment number 1 is no tag shall ever be created without a category. All right. So Infusionsoft will let you break this commandment. Like I said a moment ago, it doesn't require you to categorize your tags. So Infusionsoft will let you break this commandment all day long. I'm warning you, don't do it. Don't break the commandment. Okay. Just obey this commandment and always categorize your tags. Make sure that they're always categorized no matter what. Okay. All right. Tag commandment number 2 is no tag shall ever be created without a naming convention. Again, Infusionsoft will let you break this commandment, and I'm just warning you, don't do it. If you create tags without a systemized naming convention in place, and you just go and willy-nilly make up the name of a tag, then you'll run into trouble. So always make sure your tags are named according to a naming convention. And I'm going to teach you a naming convention here in just a moment. At a very, very basic level, your naming convention should follow a pattern like this: broad to less broad to specific. So an example would be use your campaign name and then the name of the sequence and then the name of the thing happening within the sequence. There's a reason for that, a very, very important reason. That reason is when you go into Infusionsoft and you do a search, or you go into any of the reports and you're in a search or a report where you can select tags, the current system gives you a long alphabetized list of tags. That alphabetized list is really hard to deal with if you name your tags the wrong way. For example, in normal English, we might create a tag to know when someone clicks on something. So we create our tag, clicked on such and such, right? Well, let's just say it's a free report, and we've got a campaign called our free report campaign. And so you have clicked on the free report, and then you have opened the free report email in the free report campaign. What's happening there is all of those tags are going to end up in a different place in that alphabetized list of tags. So if you're trying to find tags that are all related to each other within one campaign or related to a particular product, they're going to be all over the place. And trying to find different groups of people related to that thing is going to be very difficult. So instead of doing it in our normal English where we say the specific part first, clicked or opened or sent or they're in the campaign or whatever, we're going to do it the other way around. So we say the campaign name first, so it might be free report campaign, and then the sequence might be the free report delivery sequence, and then the action might be clicked or downloaded, right? So if you do it that way, then everything that's related to the free report campaign will end up right next to each other in that list of campaigns. And so now we've got a simple way to find things in that list because we just look for the campaign name and there it is. Everything related to that campaign is there. And then we go one step to the right and we can find everything related to a particular sequence all together, nice and neat and tidy. So that's commandment number 2. No tag shall ever be created without a naming convention, and your naming convention should generally be broad to less broad to more specific. All right, tag commandment number 3. Every tag's name shall declare its function. What does that mean? Well, it means that when you look at the tag itself, you should know exactly what its function is. You should know what that tag does. So Infusionsoft, again, will let you break this commandment. Infusionsoft is not going to force you to declare the tag's function in its name. Again, don't do it. Always make sure the names of your tags tell you exactly what they do and what they're for. Again, the naming convention that we're going to show you will help you with all of this. All right, so let's just take a very quick poll here. All right, I'm going to launch this poll. And I just want to know from the audience here, how well are you following the tagging commandments? So these 3 tagging commandments, you've got make sure that every tag is categorized. You've got make sure that you're using a naming convention, and make sure that your tags declare their function. Okay, so let's spend a minute here, and I'm just going to pause for a moment because I know there's a slight delay in the transmission here. And so I'll give everyone just a minute to answer those questions. So that poll should pop up on the right-hand side. I'm curious to know how well the average Infusionsoft user is following these 3 tagging commandments. Either you're not doing any of them, or you've done a really good job and you've nailed it. So you're completely following the commandments. Or maybe you've got all your tags categorized, but you don't have a naming convention and you haven't declared their function. So we'll go ahead and leave that up for a moment as we move on here. And I'll be curious to understand how everybody does here. Okay. I'm guessing that the majority of people are not following the 3 tagging commandments at all. I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that that's where the majority of people will end up. Because, like I said, we deal with a lot of Infusionsoft accounts, and that's just generally what we see. All right, so I'll leave that up for a moment. We'll come back and review the results there in just a moment. Okay, so I'm going to teach you the simple tagging system. And the simple tagging system starts with 6 simple tag categories. Okay, those 6 simple tag categories are activity, profile, status, trigger, reporting, and temp. Okay, you might go into your account and you've got a whole bunch of categories. If you do this right, you really only need those 6. Now, there might be a few others, some optional categories, and I'll cover those in just a moment. But these 6 categories will help you keep everything super organized and help you know exactly what's going on with all of your tags. So I'm going to review in detail each of these, and in just a moment, I'm going to give you access to download a document that outlines our entire process here. So we've got a 6-page tagging system document that I'll give you in just a moment, where you can read about each of these categories and how to create the tags and the naming convention for each category, etc. So before we move on, though, let's just take a look at the results of our poll. So from our audience here, we've got 18% that said not at all. They're not obeying the 3 commandments. 16% that said obeying completely. That's surprising to me. 20% say that you've got them all categorized, but you don't have a naming convention and you don't declare their function. So that's pretty close. That's that makes sense for me. We've got 10% that say they're all in the category and I do follow a naming convention, but tags don't declare their function. 18% that say tags are categorized and you don't follow a naming convention, but tags do declare their function. So it's kind of all over the board here. So it's exciting to see. So thank you, everyone, for taking the poll. I'm going to go ahead and end that poll now, and we'll move on with the presentation here. Okay, so let's go through these 6 tag categories. First tag category is activity. So the activity tags document what a person has done or what has happened to them. Okay, so this is what. what is going on here? This is kind of a historical record of what has happened with your contacts, okay? So rules, well, activity tags are permanent. You don't want to delete the history of what's gone on with that person. If they've been sent emails, if they've clicked on emails, if they've been in a campaign, if they've been a hot lead before, you don't want to delete that history. Why? Because you might say in the future, well, hey, let's pull up anybody who's ever downloaded our free report. Or let's pull up anybody who's ever been a hot lead that we've talked to on the phone but never purchased. That's all related to their activity. What has happened with them in the past, okay? So the nomenclature for activity tags, very simple. It's always broad to more specific. So if you're running webinars, webinars are a classic example of this. Within the activity category, I would have a tag that looks like this: weekly webinar dash sales and marketing dash the date dash registered. Why? Well, weekly webinar is the broadest thing. Okay, I hold a weekly webinar, and that's where I'm going to it's essentially kind of a subcategory. Within the activity category, we can't create subcategories, so we start to name our tags like this so that we can keep them organized. So we got weekly webinar is the first thing. It's the most broad. Sales and marketing might be the topic, and I might do that sales and marketing webinar every few months. And so I'll have one for the 14th of September in 2015, then I might have another one in February of 2016, etc. And then I've got registered, which is the actual action or the activity that the contact took. And then I've got another one for the same webinar, but attended, right? And then I might have another one for did not attend. And I might have one for other types of things. So that's the idea here for our activity tags, is you start with the broad, and then you move towards the more specific. That way, when I go to my list of tags, again, I will be able to find all of the tags related to the 14th of September 2015 sales and marketing webinar, all right next to each other, because the system puts them in alphabetical order. Now, if Infusionsoft didn't alphabetize them and had some better way of organizing them, we wouldn't have to do this. But Infusionsoft doesn't do that, and so we're gonna use this system to keep everything organized. Okay, now let's look at profile tags. Profile tags document who the person is, their demographics, their psychographics, etc. Okay, so rules. These tags also are permanent. Okay, someone's demographics or psychographics don't generally change too much while they're a prospect or a client, and so these are permanent. We don't ever remove these tags. They get applied as we collect information about people and what's going on with them. So the nomenclature here is, again, we've got profile. So within the profile category, we say profile dash age dash, and then that should say 18 to 24 years old, not 1,824 years old. That's pretty good. If we actually made it to that far, that would be pretty exciting, right? Quite the life. But that's the naming convention that we're following here, is the broad to the more specific. Now, oftentimes you'll see that I will put in the front or in the beginning of a tag the same word as the category. So the category here is profile. So why am I putting profile in the tag as well? Well, that's because in some places in Infusionsoft, when you're looking at the tags, you can't actually see the category name. And that's frustrating. And so if you just put the category name, and you don't have to always, but in situations like this, I will often put the category name at the beginning as well, so I know what's going on with that tag and where it's coming from and what its situation is. So there's also other types of tags that I'll put within the profile category, things like interests. This helps me understand the person's psychographics. So those of you that are on this webinar, you might get a tag that says interests dash Infusionsoft dash tagging system, because you're interested in a tagging system. Now, why would I put Infusionsoft in the middle there? Well, again, you might have interests that are unrelated to Infusionsoft, general marketing questions or sales or business growth, etc. And so I start with the very broad and I move to the more specific. That way I can keep everything very, very organized. Okay, number 3 is status tags. Status documents where the person is in a process. So we've talked about what, that's the activity tags. what they've done, who they are, which is the profile tags. Now we're looking at where the person is in a process, and that is their status tags. Okay, so the rules here, status tags are temporary. Why? Because their status changes as they move through a process. Think of a new lead process. They come in, their status is new lead. We're now contacting them, so their status is contacting. We're now talking to them and we're negotiating the deal, their status is negotiating. So sales stages in a sales pipeline are a really good example of tracking status throughout a process. So the nomenclature, again, follows the simple process of broad to more specific. Now, ideally, there should be dashes here. It should be sales pipeline dash stage dash contacting. That way, I know that this person's in the sales pipeline and their stage is contacting. Okay. Or here I've got VIP clients dash finance dash decline 0 to 10 days. Not sure why all of my dashes disappeared on a few of these, but there should be dashes in there. Okay, so VIP clients, so I've got a group of people that are VIP clients. And this is for the finance department. And so I've got VIP clients dash finance dash decline 0 to 10 days. Because finance might handle that when they decline for the first 10 days. And if finance can't rectify it, maybe it goes over to customer service to give them a call and hunt down what's going on. And so 11 to 20 might get assigned to somebody else. Okay, so again, the status is changing as someone goes through a timeline or through a process of events. And so in status tags, you're often applying a tag, and then when they move to the next step, you're removing that same tag and you're applying the next tag. And so they only ever have one status for any process, even though there are multiple tags for the different steps in that process. Okay, so then here's another example, right? VIP clients, finance decline 11 to 30 days. So again, we're tracking them throughout the process there. Okay, number 4, the 4th category is your trigger tags. All right, trigger tags achieve goals to start, stop, or loop sequences. And I'll throw in there, they can also be used from third-party systems to integrate with Infusionsoft, right? But generally, they're going to achieve goals that start, stop, or loop sequences. And we're going to separate these tags from other tags that might seem to be the same because we need to understand which function each tag has. And if you use one tag for multiple functions, then you end up in a bind sometimes. So if I've got someone who makes a purchase and they get a tag when they make a purchase, and that tag is what I'm using to know who has purchased, but I'm also using that tag to start the client fulfillment sequence. I'm using it to trigger that sequence. Now I've got a problem because if I ever needed to trigger it again, I would need to remove it. And if I remove it, then now my numbers are off if I'm using it for reporting to know how many people purchased that particular product. So you always want to divide the functions and make sure that each tag only has one function. So in this case, we have tags who function as start, stop, or loop triggers for our sequences. Okay, so the rules here. Trigger tags are temporary. They should be removed immediately after achieving the goal. So if you use a tag to achieve a goal, when they go into that next sequence, the very first thing you should do is remove that tag. Why? So it could be applied again and the goal could be achieved again. The only exception to that rule would be if you don't want that goal to ever be achieved again. Then you could leave the tag on there. But by default, trigger tags are temporary and they get removed immediately after achieving the goal. So the nomenclature here is campaign-sequence-trigger. Very, very simple. Okay, so if I have a free report campaign and within that campaign there's a conversion sequence and I want to start it with a tag, I might call that tag trigger-free report-conversion sequence-start. Again, why do I put trigger in the beginning if the category is trigger? Because sometimes in Infusionsoft you can't see the category. So until Infusionsoft fixes that, I'm just going to put trigger in the beginning. That way I know obviously it's a trigger without having to look at the category. I'm going to know that as well by seeing start or stop or loop at the end, but it's just helpful. I can see all of my trigger tags together. Okay, and then for that same sequence, I might also have a trigger, free report, conversion sequence, stop tag. That way, again, in alphabetical order, these tags are going to end up right next to each other. And I can know exactly what these tags do. I know what campaign they're working in. I know what sequence they're dealing with and whether they start or stop or loop a particular sequence. So I know exactly what's going on here. I know the function of that tag just by looking at it. Okay, category number 5 is reporting. So reports can often be generated from activity and status tags. So think about the activity tags that we talked about earlier. Someone downloaded a free report. So we've got free report, download sequence, downloaded might be the name of the tag. And all I have to do is just search and find how many people have that tag. That's great. I'll know exactly how many people have downloaded my free report from that activity tag. So I can use that activity tag for reporting. And I might be able to do the same thing with status tags. So if I want to know how many people are in my contacting stage in my sales pipeline, I can just look at the tag for that particular status and know how many people are currently in that particular stage. Easy. But in other situations, you're going to create tags that are specific for reporting. Okay? And so you just create a reporting category. The rules here are these tags are only for reporting and have no function related to status, activity, or anything else. Nomenclature might be something like this. So we sell access to our Double Your Sales Club membership. And so we would have Double Your Sales Club membership dash signed up dash this week. Okay? And then we might have signed up last week and signed up this month and last month and 2 months ago. Now, if you go into our membership site, and all of you have access to a few of our courses, which are free. One of them is our 12 hacks of Christmas. We did 12 hacks last year. We're still delivering our 12 hacks this year, got a little bit behind. But last year's 12 hacks included a hack called Trending Reports in Infusionsoft. And it uses a tagging system to create reports like this. Because as you know, in Infusionsoft, it's not real easy to find data on when or who was given a particular tag within a certain date range. And so you can create that essentially through a series of tagging. And so I might set up tags so I know, and I'll have these on my dashboard, how many people signed up this week, how many people signed up last week, this month, and last month, so I can see the trends there and I can see historical data. That's where reporting comes in very, very handy. All right, and the 6th tag category is temp, stands for temporary. So temp tags are used only for temporary purposes like searching specific lists. So you may have found when you go into particular reports in Infusionsoft and trying to search by some things, well, every once in a while you run into a situation where you need to do a search with some tags and some other things, and then you need to go into another report or another search and search over there to get to the list that you need. In between, though, you've got to tag people to get them over to the other list. Some searches and some reports don't have the tag function available, so you have to search them. You know, say you want to search payments, tag the people that you want, then go over into a contact search, use that tag to drill down into your search a little bit further. Well, you only need that tag for a matter of 5 minutes while you go and do that search. Once you've done that search and you've identified those people, you don't need that tag anymore. So they're temporary tags. We're doing this fairly often. So temp tags are temporary. They will be deleted after they're used. When I was working at Infusionsoft, and I was kind of establishing the naming convention there, the temp category, the official name of it actually was temp-will be deleted every Friday. We had a lot of people logging into Infusionsoft. I think at the time there were, I don't know, 80 people or so with access. And I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that when they create a tag and they put it in the temporary category, that we were going to delete those every Friday. So I actually named the category temp-deleted every Friday. And that way everyone knew. Okay, the nomenclature, again, you're going to just do broad to less broad to more specific. It's not as important for your temp tags because they're not really necessary and you're going to delete them anyways. Nomenclature just isn't as important here because they only exist for a short time. Okay? All right, so those are our 6 tag categories. Very, very straightforward Very, very simple. Now, there are a few optional categories that you may need to create, or you may want to create. So let's talk about a couple of those, and you may add additional ones on top of this. Again, there are no hard and fast rules. The rule is, really the only rule is to make your own rules. As long as you make your own rules and you always follow those, then you'll do great. But these 6 categories are extremely helpful in starting to create those rules. So another couple of optional categories, memberships. So if you're running a membership site, it's a good idea to keep your membership tags in a category called memberships. Also, email subscriptions. So if you're using our email subscription manager tool, which allows you to give your subscribers options, instead of just opt out and that's it, they can have options. Well, yeah, I want to subscribe to the weekly newsletter and I want to subscribe to the special offers, but I don't want the monthly digest. Well, if you're using that tool of ours, then you'll need a category specific to your email subscriptions so that it makes sense for them. Okay? You might also want to try and develop some subcategories. So how do you do that? Well, there is no subcategory function in Infusionsoft, as you know. But there are times when you want to try and create some subcategories. You can do that by the tag name, just prepending the tag name with certain words. So for example, within status, I might create tags that start with billing status. That way all of the billing status stuff ends up together in the list. So billing status dash credit card dash valid. Billing status dash credit card dash about to expire. And on and on and on. So I might have a whole bunch of billing status tags. I want them to be together. And so I just create billing status as the, I just call it subcategory, even though there is no such thing. I call it that in the tag name so that all of those tags end up together in the list of tags in Infusionsoft. Okay. Same thing with access. So if you are using a membership site, you'll use tags to grant people access or to revoke access to particular content within the membership site. So I call that access. Access ends up being a subcategory. Again, access is a subcategory of status because their status may change, right? They may have access today and not have access tomorrow, or they don't have access today, they sign up for something and then they're granted access. So it is temporary, it is a status, and that's why I put access as a subcategory under status. So tags there under the status category might say access dash membership dash item dash access, or I might say blocked if I want to block them from certain content, right? So access dash course dash lesson dash access, right? So here's an example with our Double Your Sales Club. Access, Double Your Sales Club, downloads, that might be a page where they can download a bunch of different tools and things, and I'll put access. So anyone who has that tag will have access to that page and be able to download all of the things on that page. Okay, so those are a couple of ideas of some subcategories you might end up creating. Again, you may or may not need to create subcategories, but realize that you can just by prepending the tag name with a particular word or two to get them to all those tags to come together. So you might be thinking, great, this sounds really simple, but what in the world do I do now? I've been using Infusionsoft for a while. It's pretty much a mess. I haven't been following the commandments. I didn't know about these things. And so where do I start? What do I do? Okay, here's a great quote by Maya Angelou. I did then what I knew how to do. Now that I know better, I do better. Okay, so that is the challenge. You know better now. So now it's time to correct it. We don't need to feel bad about the past. So if you just heard that beeping noise, there's a flash flood alert here in Southern California, which is awesome. So, all right, so you don't need to worry about the past. We can clean it up, and I'm going to teach you how to go about the steps to clean up your tags, okay? The first thing, though, I want you to do is I want you to download the tagging document. And I mentioned earlier that I would give to you guys this tagging document that we've created. So there it is, should be showing up on the right-hand side of your screen. Just click the download now button and you'll be able to download our 6-page box out marketing tagging system. I'll give you a full description of the rules, examples, naming convention, everything you need, as well as what I'm going to teach you next, which is how to go about cleaning up your tags. So go ahead and download that so you have it and you can follow it to get your tags all cleaned up. Okay. All right, so I'll leave that up for a moment here. All right, so the cleanup process. Let's go through the cleanup process and what you need to do. It's a 5-step process. 5 steps are very, very simple. First, create your standard categories. That's it. Create the 6 standard categories that we just talked about above, right? Your profile, status, activity, temp, reporting, and trigger categories. Just create those, or if you've already got something that you've been kind of using like that, just rename it so that it looks like those, or if you want to just keep using it the way it is, that's fine. As long as you've got something that represents those 6 categories, okay? Number 2, sort your existing tags. So here's kind of the painful part. You need to go through your existing tags and determine which ones can be easily sorted into those 5 categories. 6 categories, whoops. So get them sorted into those 6 categories. Edit them and move them into the appropriate category and rename them according to the convention as you do so. So you now know a naming convention that's very simple to follow. So as you move these tags into the correct categories, go ahead and name them correctly as well. What you want to make sure though, as you do, is that these tags only have one function. If you think they might have more than one function, so they might be used for a status and they're also used to trigger something, then just ignore those for the moment. You only want to sort existing tags that you know only have one function. Okay, so some tags may have been erroneously created with multiple functions. We're just going to ignore those for now. So if you're not sure if a tag triggers a goal or if it does something else, then just leave those alone while you sort the rest. Okay? All right, step number 3, determine where tags are being applied. Now, this part's easy because Infusionsoft actually allows us to see this. So once you're done sorting all the tags you can sort, you need to figure out what you got to do with the rest of those tags, right? So to start this process, you need to find out if these tags are being applied anywhere. So to do that, you edit the tag. And when you edit it, there's a little link there, and it says this tag may be applied by X number of sequences, X number of emails, X number of forms. Click on that, or if it says 000, then you know that it's not being applied by any of those things. Then you're all set, okay? But if it is, then click on it and figure out where it's being applied so that you can name the tag accordingly. Or if you realize now, okay, this tag has more than one function, you need to create a new tag so that you can separate those functions. Okay, that will let you know where the tag may be applied. Problem is, it does not tell you where the tag may be used to achieve a goal. So that brings us to step number 4, which is determine which goals tags achieve. Okay, so if you suspect a tag may be used to achieve a goal, open up a test contact. So create a contact for yourself or for some, relative, or just make up a name and apply the tag to that contact. Make sure the contact doesn't already have the tag, because if they already have it and you apply it, of course, it's not going to do anything. But go ahead and apply the tag to that contact and then go immediately to the recent campaign history for that contact to see which campaign goals are triggered. If that tag triggers a goal, or I should say achieves a goal that triggers a sequence, then it will show up there. And it will show you down below in fine print. It'll show you the name of the campaign and the name of the goal. And so you'll be able to identify where that's happening. And therefore, again, now if you realize, okay, this tag has more than one function, you can create an additional tag and separate those functions. If it's triggering a goal, then that needs to be a trigger tag. If it was also doing something else, you need to create a new tag and apply that tag wherever it was being applied and separate those 2 functions. Okay, step number 5, create tags for every function. So once you've identified the tag functions, create additional tags for every function and replace them in your campaigns. That's the simple process. Now, I know it's 5 simple steps, but that's going to take hours and hours and hours, right? That's a bit of a pain. But when you do it, it will save you tons and tons and tons of time in the future. And as you build your team and hire new people and your business grows, you'll be able to maintain that system, stay organized. New employees will be able to come in, learn the naming convention, follow it, understand everything that's going on immediately with all your tags, and it will really help your business move forward. So it's one of those things where it's an investment of time. Yes, I understand, but you've got to do it. You just have to. Because the longer you go with your tags unorganized, the more of a mess you create in your Infusionsoft system. And the bigger problem it becomes for trying to get things done, trying to understand what's happening, and really getting leverage and getting the value out of Infusionsoft itself. So that leads me to something I'm really excited to share with you guys today, which is a whole new suite of service products that we've created for our clients. And so in 2016, we're now launching all of these new products. And this one that's related to what we've been talking about today is called the Organizer. So if you want to get your tags, campaigns, and templates all organized so you know what the heck is going on, then you can sign up for our Organizer service, and we'd be able to help you with that particular problem. And so what I'm going to do here is take down the tagging document and put up another button there for you to request a consultation. So if you want to talk to us about how we can help you get your Infusionsoft account more organized, if you want to sign up for the Organizer service, you can go ahead and just hit the button to request a consultation there. And I'm just going to run through real quickly just the other services that we offer, just so that you're aware. And then we'll open up the time for Q&A. And I've got another 45 minutes or so just to answer a Q&A about the topic that we talked about today, or in the spirit of this being an open user group, just answer any questions or have discussion about Infusionsoft in general, marketing, business growth, etc. So let's just run through these real quick and then we'll get on to that. All right, so the next product is the lead generator. Get a lead generation campaign that speaks to your audience, offers a great lead magnet, and generates leads. So pretty straightforward, right? So if you need more leads, you need the lead generator. Now you might have leads and you just need to convert them better. Well, you need the lead converter, okay? You're gonna get a campaign that converts your leads to sales. Next, you might need the automator. So if you need to automate your sales process, or you need to automate your fulfillment process, client fulfillment, new welcome fulfillment, that type of thing, the automator is the product for you. Next is the analyzer. So if you know, you're like, hey, I know there's tons of data in Infusionsoft. If I could just see it better, if I could just see what was going on, I'd be able to make better decisions. Well, the analyzer, we're going to get into your Infusionsoft account and set up your dashboard so that you can see all of the key data about your business and make good decisions based on that data. That's the analyzer. Next is the educator. Say you want to start up a membership site and sell courses and content within that membership site. That's the educator. You can just ask us about the educator service and how we can help you with that. The fast cash generator. So this will be something to help you run a promotion to your list in a smart way. Help you generate cash fast, okay? The multiplier. The multiplier is a referral campaign. So you're gonna get a referral campaign that generates business from your existing clients without you doing anything. The optimizer, get your existing campaigns optimized for better conversions. You might have a lead generation campaign all set up, leads are coming in, they're flowing in, sales are happening, but you're like, if we could just get a few more percentage points out of the leads that are already coming in, that would be great. Well, we can help you with the optimizer. Next is the profit maximizer. Here you're gonna increase your lifetime customer value with a campaign that upsells and cross-sells strategically with your existing customers. And last is the strategizer. This is one-on-one strategy consulting with me. The whole focus is to help you get results, okay? So that's what we have to offer for the Infusionsoft community today. Not gonna go into great detail on that. If any of those sound interesting, go ahead and hit the request a consultation button or go to boxoutmarketing.com/consult and we'll be able to help you out with that. All right, so in the meantime, let's open it up to Q&A. I'm gonna jump back here to my other screen, see if any questions are coming across. There might be questions that have already come through. So let me just take a minute and scan through this here and see what's come up here. So Darius is asking, can you give another example of trigger tags? Well, trigger tags are pretty much always going to start a sequence or stop a sequence or loop a sequence. So an example might be when someone purchases a product. When someone purchases the product, I need a whole bunch of things to happen to be able to deliver on the service for them. So I might apply a tag when that product is purchased. In a separate campaign, I've got a goal that's looking for that tag. When that tag is applied, it achieves the goal and it starts a sequence. In that sequence, I've now got a task for my admin to call the new client, a task for the project manager to start up a new project. I've got an email that goes to the client that says, hey, welcome, blah, blah, blah. That kind of thing would be a perfect example of a trigger tag. Another example of something that really has to happen through a trigger tag is billing automation. So in Infusionsoft, if you're doing automated billing for subscriptions or for payment plans, you will set up the billing automation, and then in the billing automation section, you can set up triggers. It actually calls them triggers. So you can say, hey, let's set up a trigger when a credit card is about to expire, do X, Y, Z. Well, that stuff does not happen inside the campaign builder. You're setting up action sets that are run when those trigger points happen. So when a credit card's about to expire, all I can do is, I can do anything that you can do in a normal action set, but those are all legacy features. I prefer to apply a tag, just a simple tag, and then run all of the actions inside of Infusionsoft. So I'll apply a tag in that situation that then triggers the start of a sequence in a campaign for what needs to happen when a credit card is about to expire. Okay, so there's a couple of examples for you. All right, a couple of you asking about the slide quality. Some people saying it's blurry, some people saying, hey, it's fine for me. It really has to do with your connection speed. There's nothing I can do to fix that, so I apologize. This is recorded though, and the replay should be nice and sharp. All right, Nick is asking, what are your thoughts for using numbers in the tagging structure to make it easy to sort tags? I don't think it's easy to sort tags with numbers. Here's why. The numbers, I think it just complicates the process. Why should I have to remember what number represents what category when I could just think of the category, okay? It's not normal. Now, if you've learned that naming convention, that's fine. It does work. It works great, right? But for a new user to have to remember, on top of everything else in Infusionsoft, to have to remember, wait, 10 is marketing, 20 is sales, 30 is fulfillment, etc. It's just another thing to remember. Why can't it just be marketing and sales and fulfillment and finance? And if you name your tags in the convention that I showed you, where it's the broad things first and then more specific, the things that are related will all end up together. And so that's generally why I don't like the numbers, the extra numbers in there, because I just think it's an extra unnecessary step. It's not a bad thing. Like I said, you can make the tagging system as complex as you would like. And we have clients who have very, very complex tagging systems, and it works great for them. But when someone's starting new, and if you haven't had a naming convention and you're needing to go clean it up, I prefer to keep it simple, because when I keep it simple, I can remember exactly what's going on. I can teach my staff how it works, and it's very easy for them to understand. There's never any question about what's going on. It's just straightforward. You look at a tag and you know exactly what it does and what it's for. All right, Jan is asking, I don't currently remove tags. Why should I remove tags? Well, I'm with you, Jan. I don't like to remove tags that mean things. So profile tags and activity tags, I leave forever. That's a historical record of who that person is and what they're all about and what they've done, right? But when I'm using them for status, when I'm using tags to know where they are in a process, those tags need to be removed because their status changes. Also, when I'm using trigger tags, they need to be removed because if that action needs to be triggered again and you're trying to apply a tag that's already been applied, well, it's not going to trigger the action. So it has to be removed. So anytime you're using a trigger tag, remove it immediately. Okay, lots of questions, so I'm trying to keep up here. Oh, that's Rachel replying to Jan. So thank you, Rachel, helping us out here. All right. Simon, I use Infusionsoft for several brands. I have contacts tagged by brand as a profile tag. Do you have any comments on using IS for multiple brands? Yeah, you know what, Simon? If you're doing that extensively, what I would do is probably prepend each of those categories with a word or a couple of letters that represents the brand. So you've got brand A profile tags. You've got brand B profile tags as categories, right? And then you got brand A status, brand B status, brand A activity, brand B activity, and just keep them completely separate. You could just throw all the tags into the same categories and then just sort them out by a profile tag, like you're saying. But I find that the organization of the tags will get fairly complex. So you just want to keep them totally separate. All right, Jamie, I work in B2B and want to get better at integrating Facebook advertising with my lead generation. Awesome. What I would recommend, Jamie, is that you get into our, if you're not already a Double Your Sales Club member, get into our free Double Your Sales Club membership. There's a free version where you get access to a couple of tools and a couple of short courses. And there's some education in there on lead source tracking, okay? Lead source tracking is the key to you being able to dial in any type of advertising. But on Facebook, in particular, you need to understand, is traffic and leads coming from organic Facebook posts, from people sharing stuff, from my advertising, if I'm advertising which campaign, if I'm advertising multiple ads within a campaign, which ad group and which actual ad itself, right? Lead source tracking, when done correctly, will help you dial all that in. So that's where I'd point you for that. All right, Chad, who is a current client of ours, how do these add-on services fit with the 8-step process we currently started when we signed up? Really, what you signed up for, Chad, is kind of a separate service, which we really don't offer anymore. We're not offering going forward in 2016, but it's a combination of about 3 of these different services. So it's actually good that you signed up in 2015 because it's less costly to do it that way than to sign up for the multiple services now. Okay, but the services now that we offer, on a one-off basis, are actually much more affordable than you might expect. We've done a lot of work to build and scale our team so that we can offer very affordable services for people all across the spectrum in the Infusionsoft community. All right, Ellen, if you rename tags, will it dynamically adjust to maintain the customer hub permissions associated with the original tag? Yes, that's a really good question. When you rename tags, whether you're using Customer Hub or iMember360 or Memberium, those systems will all work just fine. You won't break anything when you rename the tags because the systems operate off of the tag ID. The ID itself is not changing. You're just changing the name or the label on that particular tag. Okay. Darius asking a good question. Are you also specific like this about naming campaigns? Any tips on that, or is that a webinar for a different day? Good question. It's a webinar for a different day, but I'll give you the basics. If you're familiar with the perfect customer lifecycle, Infusionsoft has watered it down now to what they call lifecycle marketing, and it's attract, sell, wow. They've got 3 stages, right? Well, originally when we first created that, it was 7 stages. And it was the perfect customer lifecycle. I like to name the campaigns and organize the campaigns according to those 7 stages. So I have campaigns that are lead generation campaigns. So the campaign name will be lead generation : whatever. So I might have a free report, I might have a video series, I might have something else. And so those will all end up as separate campaigns, but they're all named lead generation : free report, lead generation : video series, etc. Right? And then I've got lead conversion, and I've got sales process, and I've got client fulfillment, and I've got referral, and I've got upsell. And those are kind of the categories. Again, you can't categorize campaigns, but you can essentially categorize them by naming them with phrases like that, and then have a colon and then the actual name of the campaign. So that's how I do campaign names. And I generally, depending on the situation, I generally try and keep the campaigns organized that way as well. So, I will create a campaign for client fulfillment for a particular product. And then when I have another product, it will often require another campaign, but still it will be called client fulfillment product B or something like that. So I just keep them all organized that way. Okay. All right, Robert, do you offer a trial of run-through demo of each of the products you mentioned on the slide? You know what, the best way to get more information, Robert, on those is to go ahead and request a consultation. So those are all services. They're not like do-it-yourself products. It's not education. Those are actually services that we provide. Now, if you're interested in getting education and you would just like to access the information and do it yourself, well, you could join our Double Your Sales Club. And you can go to boxoutmarketing.com/double-your-sales-club. It's not the easiest URL, is it? But boxoutmarketing.com/double-your-sales-club with dashes in between. And that will give you information about our Double Your Sales Club. Or again, you could just request a consultation, and one of our guys can talk to you about the Double Your Sales Club. Okay. All right, Nick is asking, how do you get into the free portion of the Double Your Sales Club? Good question. Just go onto our website and opt in for anything. If you opt in for anything, you'll get a username and password, and you'll get access to the Double Your Sales Club. So first thing on there, right up front, is the 18 keys to getting results with Infusionsoft. It's right on the homepage. If you just request that, it'll give you a username and password that you can use to log in to the membership site. You'll be able to dig around there. Jamie's asking, do you have a video on the 7 stages you like? Yeah, Jamie, go ahead and just shoot me an email and remind me about that, and I'll dig up an old video that I did on that. It's kind of a different exercise that I did in that video, but it uses all those 7 stages. Okay. All right, Rich asking or saying, we used to use email templates to redirect info from the contact record to a third party, like Fulfillment House. Doesn't work now. Infusionsoft promised to fix, but a year has gone by. Is there a workaround? Okay, Rich, why don't you just use a fulfillment list? And there is actually a feature called a fulfillment list that you could use, or a fulfillment report if you're actually fulfilling on products purchased. And those would do just fine for what you're talking about. All right, perfect customer lifecycle video. Simon just linked to one here. Let me see. Oh yeah, that's one of the original videos done by Scott Martineau. Perfect. So Jamie, that link right there that Simon just posted in the chat, that's one you should watch. Okay, Simon, thanks for pulling that up. That's great. All right, Jamie's asking, are there any videos on setting up the dashboard? You know what? We've got a few of those in our membership site as well. Again, in the 12 hacks, there's quite a few things about how to get things dialed in and then get them on your dashboard. So I just go through the 12 hacks videos. Last year's 12 hacks videos are a good place to start. So if you log into the membership site, go to 12 hacks 2014. Go through a few of those videos. They're all 10 or 15 minutes long, so they're not too long. And you'll be able to get some good tips there on how to set up your dashboard. Now, that is actually a good topic for a webinar in the future. Is what do you need to have on your dashboard, and what should you have, and what do you have, etc. So, James asking, what platform do you use for your membership site? Let me just put a link in here for you. We use Memberium. There's a link. We've used them all, by the way. Well, not all of them, but we've used Customer Hub in the past. We've used iMember 360, and we're using Memberium now. And I really like Memberium for a few reasons. One, I think it's just really clean and simple. But number two, and probably the most important reason, is a very strong and powerful integration with LearnDash. So LearnDash is learning management system, allows you to set up courses. And so when you go into our membership site and you go to courses, all those courses are managed by LearnDash, and LearnDash has a strong integration with Infusionsoft as well. And we really, really like that. So we're setting up a lot of those for our clients. People really, really like it. Okay. All right, Rich, it's not just for that. We also send out emails to others, selling realtor, etc. We use a multi-sided model, so lots of communications of client contact record. Got it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, there's plenty of ways to make workarounds for that stuff. One is, send it to an email address where you control the mail server and set up something to parse out the information, do what you want with it. So it requires some custom programming, some custom setup on that web server, etc. Another thing would just be to, instead of send an email, apply a tag and then have some custom programming built where there's an API script that runs and polls all the people with the appropriate tags and then does whatever you want with their information. So, there's a couple of ideas for you, but if it's not working the way it used to work and is intended, then you may need to look at one of those workarounds. So yeah, Tom, thanks for chiming in about Memberium and LearnDash. Tom is one of our longtime clients, and they have a great setup with Memberium and LearnDash. Really, really exciting system they've put together. All right, are there any questions that I missed? Lots and lots of activity here, so if I missed your question, go ahead and repost it, and I'll just apologize up front. All right, Jamie, I get confused about whether to have multiple related sequences on one campaign page or have them in separate campaigns. Any clues? So, yeah, it's a good question. And again, there's no rules, right? There's no rules in Infusionsoft. You could set up literally like one campaign for every email you want to send, and that would be ridiculous, right? Or on the other extreme end of ridiculousness, you could set up all of your entire business within one campaign. There's no rules telling you exactly how to do it. So the way I do it, again, is by function. And so if I have a lead generation campaign, I have that campaign start where the traffic comes in. We're at the opt-in, essentially, right? And then there's lead capture and then lead follow-up. But then at the point where the next thing happens, say they request a consultation and now we're going to start the sales process. At that point, I stop that campaign and I'll set up a totally separate campaign for managing the sales process. There's a couple reasons why. One is I might have a bunch of different lead generation campaigns that funnel into that same sales process campaign. So I definitely don't want to duplicate the sales process campaign. I don't want that to get confusing. I want them all to flow into one place, right? And so, and then the sales process starts when the consultation is requested. It ends when either the deal is closed or when we lose the deal. So if the deal is closed, that's where that campaign stops, and the next campaign starts at that point, and it's client fulfillment campaign. Okay, and so that's how I do it, just by function. It's basically the different stages of the perfect customer lifecycle. So at each stage, we stop the current campaign and start the next campaign for that next stage. Okay, Mary, when you change the tag name, do campaigns update? Yes, Mary. Like I said earlier, if you just change the tag name, your Infusionsoft account and all external third-party systems utilize the tag ID, not the tag name. So if you change the tag name and then you go into a campaign that uses that tag, it will show the new name because it's just pulling the tag ID along with it, the name, and it will pull the new name. Okay, Bev, if you tag a contact LVM, does this send an email? How do you change the contact of the email? Okay, two different questions there. The first one's easy. The second one, I'm not quite sure what it means. But the first question, if you tag a contact LVM, does this send an email? Well, it depends on your system, Bev. I'm not sure exactly what you've got set up in your particular account. Everyone's account and everyone's campaigns are different. And so what you'll need to do is, like I said, get a test contact yourself maybe. Make sure you don't have that tag. Apply that tag to yourself and see what happens. If something happens, or I should say go to your campaign history on that contact record and see if it's triggering something. If not, then it's not going to send an email. If it is, then figure out what campaign it's triggering, go into that campaign and see what's going to happen. Okay. The second question, how do you change the contact of the email? I'm guessing you're saying, how do you change the content of the email? So if that's the case, again, apply the tag, hunt down what campaign is being triggered, go into that campaign, and then you can edit that email there. Okay. All right, Jamie, I know we have a new email builder coming, but I'm sure you could share good lessons in the design and frequency of sales nurture emails. Good question. Okay. So let's talk about a couple different things here. You said sales nurture emails. I'm going to separate those two words, sales and nurture, okay? Nurture, I would say, should be education and value, right? So many of you may have gone through the initial sequence that I created. It's a video sequence I created when I left Infusionsoft. There's a video of me, packing up my office and all that kind of stuff, driving home, and then I do a series of whiteboard videos. That's the one where I go through the perfect customer lifecycle, the power of one, all that kind of stuff. Those videos are great nurturing content. Okay, I have people still to this day that have watched those videos. I just got an email like 3 days ago of someone who said, "Hey, I went through those videos. You and I have never met, but I feel like I owe you for all the great content you've given, blah, 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 blah," right? Really, really grateful person. And, it was great to get that email from him. But that's the type of thing that nurtures the relationship. And so nurturing the relationship, building trust, getting people to know, like, and trust you is part of the nurturing process. Sales is different, right? Sales literally, oftentimes is just follow-up. It's just follow-up. So we do educational campaigns where we're just sending out great content, whatever. Oftentimes in preparation to then sell, because we want to build up that trust really high and then have an offer. But we do that kind of stuff. And then sales is different. Sales is either directly in an email sending an offer, or the sales reps will often have automated emails going out to people that they've talked to in the past. And those automated emails are just checking in. They may provide a little bit of value or a little bit of content here and there, but really they're just checking in. Hey, how's it going? Has anything changed? Are you interested in our stuff? If not, we'll check in with you again next month. And so that just happens automatically. So that's my little sidebar, Jamie. Sorry, let me get back to your design and frequency question. So design. I've talked about this, and I actually have a little course. Pretty sure that's a free course in our membership site on creating great-looking emails. So go check that out. But that course will talk to you about two different things. One is creating a branded email for when people know that it's automated. For example, someone comes to your site and they request your free report. You go to our website right now and you request the 18 keys to getting results with Infusionsoft. You're going to get immediately an email, right? You know by default that email is automated, right? Because I'm not just sitting there waiting for people to opt in and sending an email reply manually every time someone opts in. And so without you don't even have to think about it. It's a subconscious assumption that is automated. Well, I'm going to send a branded email in that situation. Why? Because I want people to know when the emails are automated. Why is that important? Well, because I want them to assume that other emails that are automated are not automated. I want them to assume that they're real. And so I'll send automated emails that are branded. They look like a newsletter, whatever. They have a nice logo and a wrapper and graphics, etc. I'll send those for a while, and so it builds a pattern of people knowing what the automated emails look like. And then I'll send an email, and this will all be automated. It'll be part of the campaign. I'll send an email that is plain text, or at least it appears to be plain text. And the language changes a bit. Instead of it being more corporate-y language, the language is now more casual. And it's written as if I just sat down at my computer and I wrote them a personal email. So that email might be, let's say you come and you fill out a form, you request our free report. 30 days later, you might get an automated email. You don't know it's automated though. And it says something like, hey, Jamie, it's Tyler here. Just want to check in on you. I noticed that 30 days ago, you requested our 18 keys to getting results of Infusionsoft, but I hadn't seen you request a consult yet. So I just want to make sure you got all the answers to your questions and see if you needed any help. Just give me a call at this number or reply to this email and we'll help you out. Right? That is very casual, normal email follow-up. You're going to assume that that email was written by me personally, directly to you from my Outlook or from my Gmail or whatever, right? So that's how I change it up a little bit to generate response. Because when you get that email, you go, oh, wow, this guy actually spent some time to send me this email. I'm going to go ahead and reply back because I don't want to be rude, right? And now we've got a conversation going. Okay. All right, Jamie, it would be good to have future lessons in setting up HTTP posts for SMS text messaging and direct mail. Yeah, that's a great topic, Jamie. Maybe what I'll do is have Ryan from Fix Your Funnel come and join us to present on that topic. We are big fans of Fix Your Funnel, and here's a link to Fix Your Funnel. We're big fans of Fix Your Funnel, and Ryan's really the expert with that stuff, and so I'll have him do one of these user group presentations where he comes in and presents on those topics because he's really the expert. Okay. All right, Jan, you will still have the canned spam info on the bottom of the email. So how does this look personal? Yeah, you know what, Jan, it's always going to be there, but make the font a little smaller, try and minimize it a little bit. It's always going to be there, but again, the idea is to get someone to pause, and even if they realize that it's automated, at least they paused for a moment. Now, you and I are Infusionsoft customers, and so we're going to recognize that stuff a lot faster. In your average industry, people don't necessarily always recognize those things, and you can get attention by changing up the pattern a bit there. Okay. All right, Simon, off topic. Have you tried Dialogger? Of course I have. Simon, you must not have been around a couple years ago when I helped Dialogger do their launch. Dialogger used to not be called Dialogger. It was called something else with a less silly name, but it was still bad. They came to me and they said, hey, can you help us launch this product? And at first, this was probably 3 or 4 years ago, I said, no, the product's not good enough. They went back, they worked on it a year later, said, hey, will you help us do this? And, I'm not sure. And then a year later, hey, will you help us launch this product? By then, the product was awesome. So I said, yes, and put together a whole series of videos. It's called Momentum Videos. It was all about creating momentum in your marketing. And it was all promoting the product that is now Dialogger and showing really the power of it and how to use it. It's very, very cool stuff, and definitely recommend it for anyone who is considering it. So let me just throw a link in here. There you go, boxoutmarketing.com/Dialogger. It's a good product, and they have lots of different options now. When we first promoted it, it was really just the branching video option that they had, which is still my favorite feature. But now they've got all these polls and surveys and various different ways to use the technology. It's really good stuff. So if you're looking into it, I definitely recommend it. All right, Jamie, then the next question is the integration of email from Infusionsoft and email from Gmail. An associated topic is when to use My Day versus Google Calendar. Jamie, that's really a preference thing. I don't use My Day. I use Google Calendar, but I also don't work off of appointments generated in Infusionsoft. We have clients that do and love it, and they work off of My Day and their Infusionsoft calendar. But I just personally don't like it very much. I love Infusionsoft's automation features. I don't think Infusionsoft is the best calendar. and so I just don't use it. But that's just me. So if you're looking into that, you might want to look at Appointment Core. Appointment Core is a system that integrates Infusionsoft with your Google Calendar. It allows people to set appointments on your calendar and all that kind of stuff. So it's a cool system. Benji, the guy who created it, is a great guy. He is on paternity leave right now, had his first child recently. But the system, of course, is still there. The team's still there. So all right, Kathy, Kim Snyder of SyncSumo is giving a Facebook paid advertising training. Do you plan to cover that topic? Facebook paid advertising during W Sales Club training in the paid traffic section. Yes, but I would definitely join Kim's webinar. She knows what she's talking about there. But yeah, I mean, I've spent literally millions of dollars on advertising. Not so much of it on Facebook, but when I was managing the team at Infusionsoft, we spent a lot of money on advertising in various different places, various different methods, things like that. So we're going to cover that in detail in the part of the W Sales Club training, where we go through generating traffic and leads. So we'll definitely cover a bunch of different things there. And what you'll find is that I bring in experts to talk about various different things. So I personally won't be the one to teach you the details of Facebook advertising. That will be one of my faculty members that will teach you that. Okay. Nick, GoToWebinar seems to be the preferred webinar platform out there. From your perspective, what have you found to be the pros and cons of Webinar Jam? Couple of things, Nick. Two major pros with Webinar Jam. One is there's no limit to the number of people that can attend your webinar. GoToWebinar maxes out at 1,000. And the other thing is the cost. GoToWebinar is just expensive. It gets expensive when you're using it with lots and lots of people. So those are the main things. Other than that, GoToWebinar has a little better quality. GoToWebinar does a better job of compressing the video and displaying it sharp on the other end. As some of you guys noticed, if your connection speed was slow or whatever, your screen got a little bit blurry during today's webinar. And that's just one of the small drawbacks of using GoToWebinar, which broadcasts through YouTube's live streaming technology. And to me, it's not a big deal because, again, the recordings happen. Recordings are always super sharp and clear. And for the vast majority of people, it's not an issue. So I like the cost of Webinar Jam. I like the fact that there's no limit. And I also like some of the features of Webinar Jam. Like I was able to give you guys a link to download the tag system document. I was able to push out a link to go request a consultation. I was able to do the polls. GoToWebinar has a lot of those features as well, but I just like the way that it works in Webinar Jam. Okay. All right, Jamie, I use Appointment Core, and that's why I don't use My Day. They have good support. Yeah, perfect. All right, Nathan, will there be a replay of this webinar? Good question. Yeah, it is recorded. We'll definitely get the recording out to anybody who has registered for sure. Okie doke. I've got a few more minutes available here to answer questions, to help out with whatever it may need to be. So if you have questions, go ahead and dump them in there. It doesn't have to be related to the topic today. It could be really anything Infusionsoft related or marketing and business growth related. Jamie, I tried Webinar Jam about 12 months ago and got totally confused. Maybe they have better support now. Jamie, I haven't used the support much, so I don't know if the support is good or bad. But I've really liked the system. To me, it's not that confusing. They have changed it. They've updated it a little bit and made it maybe a little bit more clear. All right, Paul. Jimmy asked, was it covered? I get confused about whether to have multiple related sequences on one campaign page or have them in separate campaigns. Any clues? So, yeah, I answered that question. And the answer is basically I keep campaigns organized by perfect customer lifecycle stage. So, lead generation campaign, for example, if say I have two different lead magnets, I've got a video series and I've got a free report. I'm going to create two different campaigns. Each one of those is going to have a web form to capture the lead and then a follow-up sequence. They might both flow into kind of a general follow-up sequence, but they'll probably have an email or two that's related to their particular topic. And then that campaign will stop. Then I'll have another campaign that does kind of the long-term nurture. And then that campaign will stop. And when one of those leads goes and requests a consultation, that starts a new campaign. The new campaign manages the whole sales process. And once the sales process is over, whether we win or lose the deal, that campaign stops. And then there's a campaign that starts when the deal is won. And there's a separate campaign that starts when the deal is lost. Okay, that's how I organize the campaigns, by perfect customer lifecycle stage and by function. Oh, good question, Margaret. Margaret's asking if we can put the link back up for the tagging document. I'll throw that up there now. There you go, Margaret. So that's back up. You can go ahead and download the tagging document now. All right, Kathy, I'm planning a 5-page website and have identified 12 lead magnets that would be valued by my niche business owner. Is 12 too many lead magnets for a 5-page website? Well, good question. No one can tell you the answer, not even me. The only thing that will tell you the answer is testing it, and it's all in how the information is displayed as well. I would generally, just off the top of my gut feeling, is that 12 is too many for 5 pages. Why? Because you generally want to focus people in onto one call to action. So you've got 12 on 5 pages. There has to be more than one call to action per page, which gets confusing. So what's the user to do? Do you want me to go over here? Or do you want me to go over here? Do you want me to download this one or this one? Right? And so it's confusing. So you want to start people at the top and then funnel them through. So if I've got 5 pages, if you've got 12 different lead magnets, I'm assuming those lead magnets are addressing different pains or desires or whatever, the different parts of the psychographic profile of your niche business owner. And so I might, on the very front page, allow them to select who they are. So I don't know, who your target market is here, Kathy, but let's just say that that you're me, and you work with Infusionsoft users, and you could ask people when they come to the page, do you want help with Infusionsoft, with marketing, or with sales? They click on one of those, and then it drills them into a page that's specific. So if they click on Infusionsoft, they get to Infusionsoft, and then I say, hey, we do lots of things with Infusionsoft, but we really focus on helping you get results with lead generation campaigns, lead conversion campaigns, and upsell campaigns. Click the one that you're most interested in. Click, and then now I've got them very focused on a particular topic, and I can offer them a lead magnet that is specific to that. Okay, so I've worked them down a process. I know exactly what they're interested in. I'm going to give them a lead magnet that is perfectly positioned for what they want, and that's going to get me the most opt-ins. Okay, but if you drive people to a page and on that page there's 12 different opt-ins, they don't know what the heck to do. It's going to be confusing for a lot of people, and they'll leave. So again, you could prove me wrong. You could test this out and say, hey, look, Tyler, you're totally wrong, and I will believe the data faster than I believe anything else. But that is what my experience and what my gut tells me is going to happen. All right, Jamie, I nearly ran out of custom fields until I learned that you can have 100 custom fields for companies and opportunities. Any comments? Well, you can. You can have custom fields for every record type out there. You can have custom fields on orders, on a few different things out there, right? On referral partners. The problem is those other custom field types are not going to be able to be merged into emails. So if you're just using them internally in Infusionsoft, so you and your team members are logging into Infusionsoft and you're using the data in those fields, great. By all means, use those custom fields. But if you need that data to be merged into emails, it won't happen. You can only merge in contact data from those custom fields in the contact record into your emails. And so they aren't going to help you much if you're putting them in other places, okay? My general response to that as well is if you are running out of custom fields, in 95% of cases, you're using custom fields wrong. You should be using tags for the data that you're storing instead of custom fields, okay? So here's the questions you should ask yourself. Does this data need to be merged into an email? If not, most likely you're going to use a tag instead of a custom field. Next question is, can this data be organized into a set of selectable options? So let's say age group. So you say, hey, what's your age group? Are you 0 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, etc.? You give a bunch of different options. If I can drill it into some options, then that's easy. I'm going to make tags for that. As long as I don't have to merge it into an email, I'm going to use tags. Okay. Because I've got all the searching and segmenting ability with tags, and I'm not using a custom field. The only time I'm going to use a custom field is if it has to be, if that information has to be captured in a form to be able to merge into an email, and if the answer to a question is open-ended, and it has to be open-ended. So let's say I want to get the average age group, or the average age of all of my people. So I need them to enter in an actual age, right? And I'll create a custom field that's a whole number field, and I'll allow them to type in whatever number they want, and then I can create an average by using a save search and putting that average on my dashboard, right? So there's a couple reasons why I would use custom fields, but in a lot of cases like that, I'm going to use tags. So if you're running out of custom fields, you're likely using custom fields wrong. Nick responded with similar response there. I reserve my custom fields for info I want to merge into my automation campaigns. Otherwise, with tags being limitless, I can segment customers and do reporting based on tags. Gold star for Nick. Good job. That's the right response. All right, Jamie. As Infusionsoft is contact-centric versus company-centric, I get a little confused regarding companies. If I am B2B, then should I use opportunities in companies or contacts? Yeah, it's a good question. Infusionsoft is not the greatest system for handling companies. It's pretty weak. You can associate contacts with companies, but you cannot do anything automatically to all the people in a particular company, which is frustrating. Opportunity records will by default pull the company name into the name of the opportunity. But I would associate the opportunity records with a contact record, not a company record. Okay, that's probably a really big discussion for another time. We're about out of time, but that's my quick response to that. All right, looks like Nick is out of here. Thanks for attending. Appreciate you coming along for today's ride. All right, so I think we'll go ahead and wrap up today, but thanks everybody for attending. This has been a lot of fun for me. I really enjoy these user group meetings. I hope it was valuable to you. If you haven't yet, click the button now to download the tagging system document. That will help you to get your tags organized and get more leverage out of your Infusionsoft system. Also, if you're interested in working with box out marketing, we have options, very affordable options for all spectrum of the Infusionsoft users to help you get more out of your Infusionsoft account and help you get powerful results. So just go to boxoutmarketing.com/consult, and you'll be able to request a consultation there, and you'll get on with one of our team members who can help you identify what we can do for you to help you grow your business. All right, thanks so much, and we'll talk to you guys all soon. Bye.